We're back.
Ooh. Yes, we are. We're back. I'm happy. Aaron's happy. He got taller since the last episode, so and I got shorter. But we're back. Welcome to the Off the Top
podcast.
I'm Byrd Mena, and we're here with Aaron Flick. Today, we are gonna start with something that I put in the box.
Oh, you put it in.
Yes. So we're switching here a little bit. You know, we go back and forth.
Should I be careful with this box?
Yeah,
or?
be super careful while you pick it up, please.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of heavy. Box only in a few episodes. This is a very exclusive box. For the people who just listening.
This is expensive.
Yes, it is.
We got a camera. Why do we have a camera? Does Wahl coming out with cameras?
No.
Oh, okay.
We're going to stick to
news to me.
Yes. So the camera, the reason that I put a camera in there is because we are right around the corner from doing this year's Sharp Fade freshman class.
Oh, sick.
Yes. So let's show the camera. Obviously, for you to create something like a collection or content, you use a camera. So I decided to put the camera that I use, which is this Canon EOS R with a 24 to 105 lens, in the box so that Aaron can see that we're going to start creating very, very soon. So that means that submissions will be starting this summer. In the past few years, we've had over 20,000 people sign up for Sharp Fade Freshman, and every year we find amazing talent.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've only been, I won't even say involved because I'm not really that involved, but I've only been kind of aware, present with freshman class the last few years, and there's been some incredible talent that's come through, and a lot of them now are actually a part of our ambassador team. So I know CJ the Barber, Christian Gonzalez, he was a Sharp Fade winner. I don't know what you
2018, I think.
Cam, I believe. He was at least a competitor. And then Esbebe Carlos, who was an interviewee. So he was on it as well. And I know there's countless of others. I've worked with Dom.
Yes.
And then there's Eric Ruiz.
Yeah.
I'm blanking on a handful of them, so I apologize if we've connected in the past. But there's been some heavy hitters and some really massive talents that have kind of shown their stuff.
So the freshman class that I came up with, the process does work because the people that come out of it are people that really grind and really want to grow in this industry.
So let's talk about the freshman part of it. So just correct me if I'm wrong, but the criteria is you have to have less than 25,000 Instagram followers, correct?
Yeah. You have to have less than 25,000 Instagram followers.
So you're kind of in that micro influencer space. This
Right.
is talking from the social media aspect.
Yeah, and a lot of the times the people that end up being a part of the freshman class, sometimes they have like 2,000, 1,000 followers and eventually grow. Like, someone like CJ the Barber, he ended up winning at BTC. But when he became a freshman class for Sharp Fade, he didn't have that much following. He was just like starting to begin his career, and he's now, growing and growing. So we find a lot of talent before.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you take the inspiration from that, from the, the XXL freshman class?
Yeah, so the name part, yes, because I just feel like we need to shine light on the up-and-coming artists.
For sure.
And try to find those that are really going to be a leader in the industry in whatever way, form they want to be a leader. If it's through the art or is it through entrepreneurship or as an ambassador. But it has worked really well. We have had a lot of success with a lot of signups, and we have met and connected with great people. We had Bebe, Cam. Cam is only 18. We interviewed him for the first episode, and he actually participated twice. The first time didn't make it, but continued.
Yeah, it's crazy. So summertime, it's coming out. I know you're working on the final pieces as far as what the theme is this year, but I can't imagine what's going to come out of the mind of Byrd Mena. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. So everyone, make sure that you're following Byrd. Follow the Sharp Fade page, which is at Trim.
Yes.
So you can see when this competition's going on, how you can compete, all the fun stuff. But get your creative juices flowing. If you got good looking models, get them lined up, male or female. I don't know. I don't know what the theme is. So
yes, it's gonna be a really good theme this year. Working on the collection, and then all the rules and all of the tiny little info will be at sharpfade.com or on any of our Instagram pages. So good luck, and I hope to meet you guys very, very soon.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what is going to come out of your brain and what creative concepts that people can kind of take and the inspiration from it. But, we talked, speaking of collections and speaking of education and up and coming artists and all that amazing stuff, there's no coincidence that our guest interview today knows everything about that education space and how to find those artists and kind of grow and develop them. So I'm super excited for our interview today. It's going to be with our Global Education Director, Stephanie Polansky. So it promises to be a really good interview. I'm really excited to ask her all the hard-hitting questions. She'll tell us who her favorite Wahl educator is on the team. No, I'm just kidding. She'll tell us who, her journey through the industry and what Wahl looks like in the future as far as education goes. So it promises to be really awesome.
Well, let's get to it, guys. Thank you for joining us here on Off the Top. Stay tuned and let's go. So we are here live on the Off the Top podcast, and today's guest, I'm very excited to have her here all the way from the west side to the east. Stephanie is in the building. Round of applause. Woohoo. If you're home, you make sure you applaud too. How's it going,
You better be standing too. It better be a standing ovation.
I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here.
Well, I just want to go straight to it. You had an amazing trip over here. How crazy was the trip?
So one of the great things about our industry and, being where you go to shows and everything is the traveling. And everyone thinks it's so glamorous and fun. But in reality, I haven't slept yet. I think I'm on 32 hours because of a flight being canceled and then being put on a red eye. And I can't sleep on red eyes. And then I got here and we've just been going since I dropped off my bag. So I'll be happy to go to bed tonight. But I'm super excited. Everything's going great today. The show's going to be a huge success. We've got a lot of great things happening.
So our job, Bird, is to make sure that Stephanie is
pumped up,
has got that energy. So if you ever need like a boost, just look at Bird's hair and that should give you some energy alone.
Just gonna be like,
feed off the
I'm
vibes.
thirsty. I want a pink lemonade. Oh my God.
So Stephanie, you talked about your journey to get physically here, but let's talk about your journey in the industry. So when did you get involved in hair? How did you get involved in hair? And then tell us your journey to now you're at Wahl Clipper as the Global Director of Education.
Yeah, so it's been a really long journey. There's been a lot of things that have happened in my career to get me to where I am. A lot of people I know are always like, I want to be where you are. Like, how do I get that job? And it's like, you don't just get that job. There's a lot that goes to it.
Supply, that's it.
Yeah, you just sign up. So I've always wanted to do hair. Ever since I was probably 8 or 9, I always thought my hairdresser was just the coolest person ever. And of course, my parents, you should go to nursing school or you should do this. But I was dead set on hair. So I ended up going to cosmetology school. I did win a scholarship for school. They were doing a contest where you could win $1,000 scholarship, but you just had to put in 1,000 words why you wanted to be a hairdresser. And I ended up having 5 different schools offer me a full ride. So that was a really cool thing. And these are things that if you are getting into the industry to look for, because there are these really cool things like Fade It Forward, other things that people are doing, a lot of scholarships from companies that, you definitely should apply for and try to go for and even research, because it makes a huge impact on your career and you end up being done with school and not in debt, which is always nice as well.
I wish I knew.
Right.
I would have wrote a book.
Exactly.
Right.
So after school, I moved back home because I had to move to Cincinnati for school. I moved back home and worked in a salon. I was in the salon for, I think, 10 years. And again, I had a journey. I started behind the chair, moved into being a master artist, then ended up being the manager of the salon. And after that, I moved to a different salon and was their director of education, and then worked behind the chair 2 days a week. During all of this as well, I was a educator for Redken. So I was a platform artist. I also taught at the Redken Exchange in New York City. So I'd go there once a month, which was really cool, and teach a class called Everything's Included Too, which is cut and color. And so the thing about educating and teaching, I absolutely just loved it. It was my passion. I loved seeing people learn. I loved when people would come up to me after and just be like, I finally understood this. Like you the way you said it made it click. I got to be creative, share what I know, share my information that's all in my head with other people so that they could become the best behind the chair as well, and to help inspire them. So being an educator was like a dynamic part of my life. Being an educator for Redken, one of the goals I always had, and I am a true believer, like whatever you put in the universe will come to you. It may not be the way you want it to. It may be a different way that it comes to you, but it will come to you. And I always wanted to move to New York. I mean, I traveled there, once a month for like 5 years. And so finally, my former boss at Redken, Suzanne, came to me and was like, we are creating this position. It doesn't exist. You can make it whatever you want it to be. Like, we're looking for you to do it. What do you think? And at that time, I was working behind the chair. I was traveling, having a great time. And I said, no, like, I'm great. I'm happy. I saw her again. We all were doing our training for the exchange. And she came to me again and was like, just come in and interview. Hear what we have to say. So I was like, all right, I'll do it. So I went in and I interviewed, and then I got like the bug. I got excited because then I realized that, I have a voice traveling around and teaching, but now I was going to have a huge voice because I was going to be the person that was going to be able to help create the content that hairdressers needed. I was going to be able to be the person sitting at the table and saying, no, that's not what a hairdresser wants, or hairdressers aren't going to like that, or that's going against what they believe in. And that's what we fight in this industry all the time, right? I mean, I'm probably the most not liked person in a boardroom because I will always stand up for the hairdresser. And, if it starts to go the wrong way, like more going towards consumer, then I will always say hairdressers aren't going to be happy. So I was with Redken in the corporate position for about 2.5 years. Then they purchased Pureology. And so with Pureology, I had actually done a ton of research on that product line for Redken. So they ended up asking me if I would move over to Pureology and manage the education for it. So I was like, sure, why not? So that was my first time actually going to California for a long extended time because Pureology was located in Irvine, California. So I would go out for like a week and, spend time in the building and with the team there and everything before we moved them over to New York. So moved them to New York. I worked for them for I was with Pureology, I think 2 years. And then I was offered just a really cool job that I had wanted my career path to go with L'Oreal, and it just didn't happen. So this is where I always say, like, you can wish for what you want, but you'll get it, just may not be the way you wanted it. So I thought it would happen with L'Oreal, but it didn't. It happened with KMS. And they came to me, a headhunter, and said, there's this great position. It's the head of global education. For KMS, you'll have to move to California, so East Coast to West Coast. And so I was like, I'm super interested. And I met all the people and was just like, this is like going to be such a fun job. And so I moved to California. I worked with KMS, and that's when I worked globally when I was with Redken and worked with the countries, but I didn't travel as much as like when I was with KMS. It was like, that was my job. So I only managed global. I wasn't in charge of the U.S. It's kind of like with Wahl, the U.S. is its own identity. And, global is just to make sure everything's like the same, like consistent. So that job was fantastic. I had a ton of fun with it. And then another headhunter came to me And then again, said, I have this really great position that, you might be interested in. Want to hear about it. So this was with Sexy Hair. And, at first I was like, oh, I don't know. Because I think you guys were like, Sexy Hair used to be like in Bedazzled and like screaming on stage. And I'm like, that's not my jam. Like, it's just not who I am as a person. But it definitely had like mellowed down some. So I interviewed with them, and my soon-to-be boss, Jen, I loved her, and I was like, I'm going to learn so much from her and be able to get to the next level and grow. The brand is huge. It's a huge brand in countries all over, and it's a fun brand. So with that one, I was managing global alone with the U.S. team. So with the U.S. team, when I started there, we had 180 educators. Ooh. So that was no easy task.
That's a lot.
But I'll have to tell you, the first time I met them was at an opening party at one of their annual training events, where they bring all the educators in, all the salespeople, consultants, everybody. And they introduced me on stage, like the girl whose position I was taking was moving to Italy. So she introduced me and was like, this is going to be, my replacement, blah, blah, blah. I've never felt so welcome and so appreciated as I did with that company. I mean, and that's going to the educators. The educators were just so happy and just so excited to learn and like to have, a new leader and someone that's going to bring new information and new things to the table. So that journey, I was with them for 9 years. It was a great journey. But then Wahl came along.
Uh-oh, knocking on the door. What's up?
Hello.
Then I got the call from Wahl. This was actually kind of an interesting one. So I'll tell you, my other thing I threw to the universe was that I wanted to be able to work from home, and I wanted to go back to traveling globally again. Because I was doing a lot more U.S. than global because it's such a big market. So Wahl offered that. So they offered me the work from home and the being able to be global again. So I talked to Lance probably right before COVID. We were already talking, and I had already interviewed with several people, and we were pretty much at the bottom. And then he called me. He's like, I don't even know what to do. Like, we can't hire any more people. We're on a freeze. So that was it. A year went by.
That's during COVID.
This is during COVID. So, everything was shut down. They were just trying to like pay the workers that couldn't work.
Right.
And then I was like, I really want to work for that company. Like, so they're still paying their people.
Teased you.
They teased me. So pretty much a year went by, and I kind of forgot about it. Like, I was like in deep with like whatever we were doing at Sexy Hair. And at that time as well with Sexy Hair, they also gifted me with Statement and my Identity.
Shout out Julius Caesar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nomad, Miguel, and Sophie.
Yep. Yeah. Dynamic people. Dynamic. Dynamic.
And my identity is
Guy Tane.
Guy Tang.
Yep.
Hello.
Yeah. So
Hi, hello.
Hi, Guy.
Hello, Guy. I'm Bird. You're a guy, and I'm a bird.
But yeah, those brands were unique. They are definitely more the boutique brands, which is fun. And it was also a lot of fun to be, especially Statement, to be with a brand that it was created by barbers. So they knew what they wanted. And, it's not a competition to us. So I can say like Statement is probably one of the best men's hairlines out there for sure. I mean, they did a dynamic job at it.
That's an ad, by the way. No, I'm just kidding. We're just having fun.
Royalties later.
Yeah. Send the invoice later.
Right. Well, no, and what's funny is that because you don't. I am another one that always believes never leave on bad terms.
Never.
So like tonight with our model call, we're sharing our model room with Statement.
Oh,
so
cool.
we're cutting the costs, like at Connecticut Barber Show, they got to do the model call first and we went second. So this time we are going first and then they go second. So it's really cool. Cause the girl that manages, like all that used to be one of my girls. And so I still like love her to pieces. But yeah, so then Lance called me again. And he's like, are you still interested? And I was like, oh, like I haven't even thought about it, because now at this point,
It's a whole year later.
oh, it's a whole year later.
Ooh.
I'm working from home because of COVID.
Ah, so you got what you
things
wanted.
have, like, gone-
She put it
things
into the
changed.
universe. It was Stephanie.
It's your fault.
It's my fault.
that we were all home.
My God, right? So would you. So when Lance called, I was like, let's talk about it again. Let's see what direction you want to go, what the goal is. And he had told me about so many things that we're working on right now and so many things that we want to do. And we haven't really put any focus on global, and there's so much potential on that. And when I met with the directors of education for each of the countries, like I was done. I was like, this is definitely what I want to do. Like, because like there's such a cool group of people. They're all super smart, have amazing ideas. They just need a leader to help pull it all together. So I was just said, yeah, I'm in. So that was heartbreaking. It was really, really hard to leave
That's
sexy
exactly
hair.
what I was going to ask. Like, it seemed like you were there for 9 years, you said, and
Yeah.
it seemed like
And
it was a family.
It was my family. Yeah. And I think that was the hardest part, was leaving them. So not so much the job, as because I was going to have an amazing job, but leaving the people. So I always tell people, like, don't thinking about them.
It's okay.
But don't let like being afraid or fear get in the way of something that potentially could be amazing. And I know I see that in a lot of people where they are like, well, I'm like used to my job. I'm comfortable. I know the people, and they're afraid to like jump and try the next thing. And they lose out so much. So it was hard. And I was really like, I was nervous. I was sad. But then when I came to Wahl, it was the same thing as Sexy Hair, where everybody was just so open and so excited and so happy. And, just they were so ready for this position to be in place. And, and I love working for Lance. Like, he's such a fun person to work with. And just the team, the whole team. I'm working obviously with the U.S. team a lot now. Just to help get them all set up and ready. But we have so many great things coming, and that's just amazing to see the potential with Wahl and education moving forward.
Yeah, and the good news for you is, one, you move companies, but same industry, so you get to see a lot of these people,
Yeah.
as you're at trade shows across the country. So, you still get to see that group, and I think hopefully that you felt this way, but Wahl Clipper, like, family comes first. Like, family that's literally like our number one value is family. And I'm hoping that we can provide you the same experience of having that close knit family and community that you had in your previous journey. So thank you for sharing that journey with us. But it's awesome to hear your kind of just direction going all the way from going to cosmetology school. And I mean, look at you now. You're on the Off the Top podcast with
Oh my
Aaron
God.
and Byrd.
I've made it. It's done.
The bad news is you might have peaked at this very moment. So
This is it.
It's all downhill
this
from
is
here.
this is the top of the mountain.
No, don't let her say that. Everything that she says, it comes to life.
That's true.
It's only up. Only up.
You keep
You
going
guys are
up
gonna
now.
keep
We're
going
going
up.
up with you.
We're only going up. Yeah, me and myself and Aaron, we know each other for only 2 episodes, and we're already family. No, I'm kidding. No, but I felt the same way when I joined Wahl. It does feel like a family. I love everybody. I love the vibes. I'm a person of energy. If the energy seems off, then I just always try to stay a little bit back.
Yeah.
But never stayed away from. I mean, Aaron's already like up there. So we already have a distance apart from each other.
And his height, or
In height.
I have to.
In height.
Not my position. I got to talk really loud so he can hear me.
It's because
when I
he's so
stand.
tall and I'm
Yeah.
so short. No, but it really is like a family. So, and I think it's beautiful because a lot of the barbers, hairdressers that use our tools, when they see this, now they get a little bit of an insight of how the company is, because when you're behind the chair every day, to us, barbers, hairdressers, it's like, oh my God, it's a huge corporation. It's so big, it's like,
Yeah.
oh my God. And when you find out it's a family. It is a corporation, but it is a family, and the people behind every little move are just like you know, we're hairdressers, barbers, and we're here for you guys, for the community, to help build it, to help elevate it through education, through art, through the tools that we bring to you guys. So thanks for coming here today.
Yeah, of course. And I think like one of the things that you said about it being a family that's so important is because I have been with several brands, and they've all been purchased by a bigger company, and it changes the brand completely. And one of the other reasons I went to Wahl was because I was just getting tired of fighting for the hairdresser and the barber. I was just in meetings, I was tired. Where at Wahl, that's the only thing we talk about. It's like it's the barber and the hairdresser. Like, what are we going to do? How can we make them happy? Like, you know, that's all we focus on. And it's such a good feeling to have a job in my industry that I love, where everyone's on the same page, even marketing. And, you know, marketing's always about like the money, like what do we do? But, you know, the marketing team is 100%. They don't talk about anything but how do we help the barber and the hairdresser. And that's like a huge, huge point of difference with Wahl.
Yeah, I can tell you as the marketing department, I mean, it makes my job easier if I know, especially as a social media person, like if I know they're going to like what we're sharing, that I'm not scrolling through negative comments. I'm just scrolling through all positivity and people getting excited. So that's a really good point, is like, that's really what we strive for, is to make the barber and stylist life easier.
Yeah,
and I think that's why Wahl Clipper's been around for 103 years, is because they're constantly innovating and speaking to those artists. And the way we do that and, you know, move forward in the industry is talking with industry experts to get their opinions. What do we need to change, and what improvements we can make? So really the barber and stylist is, I mean, it's the whole reason we exist. It's what we need their voices, so we know how to make improvements and how to make their lives easier. So.
Yeah, for sure.
So
100%.
As the global education director, you talked about, you know, there's a lot of, you know, leaders around the globe for Wahl. What are some of the things that you've learned from our UK team, our Australia team? What are some of the things that you've learned about, you know, Wahl Clipper and their how they differ from what we're doing here in the U.S.? Like, what are some of the lessons that you've kind of learned there and kind of inspired you to take and grow this as a global team?
Yeah. So I think one of the things that I've noticed, like the UK, for example, and the same in Australia, is that they don't really have like barbers. Like, they normally are cosmetology background that are good barbers. So the traditional barbers that we're used to, that's not the traditional like there. So I think that's like super interesting. I think it's evolved and changed over the years. And so it's becoming that way. But I feel like the industry and all has changed over the years. The other thing that I think is interesting with the countries is they all have the exact same vision. It just may look a little different, you know, but they all like come up with these great ideas. Singapore, for example, has doing a barber battle.
Yeah.
An amazing contest that they're doing, but they didn't just say we're going to do a barber battle. Like, they talked to like a bunch of countries, like the US, like, how'd you guys do it? What can we do to make it better? Australia. So I see that they all work together as a unit, and not like individually, because they're much stronger when they're together. And that's what makes them super unique. The knowledge that they have on the clippers, just to hear, because in Australia and in Germany, the education leaders aren't hairdressers, but they know every single thing about those clippers.
Sure.
And they understand presentation skills and all of those sort of things. So they make great leaders for that reason. And that's where it's my responsibility to be the one to train them. It's their responsibility to lead them. So I think, does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's great. Because my
We're
next
getting
question
some
was going to
insight
be,
here.
so you kind of already answered it, is like, so how you're talking to Singapore, you're talking to the UK, you're talking to Australia. Like, how do you like,
When do you wake up
Is that why you only slept 32 hours?
Right?
Yeah. Are you sure you sleep? I was just gonna say, how do you try to get all these different countries on board and have not the exact same vision, but the same wall vision? Like, how do we keep in line's not the right word, because that sounds like we have to do it this way, but how do we keep them all together? How do we keep them as one wall family?
Yeah. So I do meet with them all the time, like individually. And yeah, like I'll have 5 a.m. calls, but that's nice because then you're done at 2, or I'll have a 9 p.m. call. You just work with the time and it works. What I do once a quarter is I will have all of the leaders on one call. It's called the Global Education Leader Call. And so we try our best to fit the right time zones, but it doesn't always work out. So sometimes I'll do it where it's a better time, for the European side, and the next time I'll do it for like more of Southeast Asia side. But they're all on there. And even if it's 11 o'clock at night, they're on. And during these calls, each country presents to everyone else what they're doing in their country, like what successes they're having. And then that starts to spark questions from other people saying, like, that's how the ambassador program that we just revamped got started, was from them presenting to me. And I was like, why aren't we just doing this globally? Like let's just get it all aligned. So we sit on these calls and we talk about it. Then I usually will do 2 separate calls. I'll do a call with the European and US side, and then I'll do another one with Australia and Southeast Asia, because they're on a completely different time zone, and share, like, here's the findings, like, here's the ideas, here's where we are, get their feedback, compile that together. And then I'll either do another call with all of them, or I will send out just like a brief and then get their feedback that way on it.
For sure.
It's good to see a little of the an insight into your job and your career. I do have a question. My question
No Zeners.
No, this question it's actually a question for the people. Time management must be a very important thing for you. And I think time management is important for a lot of the people probably watching, if they're barbers or they're hairdressers and they want to do something on the side like entrepreneurship. What are some tips for your time management? Since I've probably never met someone that, I know a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of very successful people, a lot of people that work, but I don't think I've ever met someone that is in such a global position that has to have meetings in all different times. So talk to me about the balance, not only with work, but with family, with work, and etc.
Yeah. So that's actually a great question, because I think time management is something that most people are poor at. And that's why they don't get projects done on time, or I think it's the number one cause of stress, because they're just so focused on all the stuff they have to do that they get like stressed out. I do it. I'm guilty of it as well, where I just lay in bed and I'm literally on my phone typing like the stuff I need, like reminders. It's nuts. I'll even email myself, like, don't forget. Like,
well, these are good tips, though.
Yeah.
You know?
And the reason I say that is because then it takes it off my mind. Otherwise, I'll lay there. So if I just send myself like an email and just say, like, don't forget to do this, then I stop thinking about it. So some of the things that I've done to really help with time management is, when I do have a 7-year-old daughter who is super active, and like as soon as she gets home from school, it's game on. Like, she wants to play, wants all my attention. Like, we should have had 2. And I have a husband that is the same. He wants my attention. Like, he's good with me traveling and everything, but when I'm home, he wants me to be home.
Right.
So that's where like when work's done, I have to let it be done. I'm not one of those people that will like string it out through the day. So one of the things I do, I use a I don't know if you call it a system or an app called My Monday.
Oh, I've heard of that.
So it's project management. Yeah. So I think the biggest thing is that because if you just have on a piece of paper like 12 projects you're supposed to be working on, you're just going to keep looking at that paper. So you need to take that paper and you need to take those 12 projects and put them into, and it doesn't have to be My Monday. I'm just saying royalties.
This next question is My Monday.
Send the invoice.
our sponsor today is My Monday. So just find any project management. And I only say My Monday because it's free.
Oh.
If you don't use it as a company. If you use it as an individual, it's free. If I was to add you onto it, it's not free anymore.
Okay.
So just so you know
don't
that.
have any friends.
Yeah. So
Check.
Or no one that you need to share like a project list with. So you take your list, you go into a project system, and you put in there like the 12 projects. And then under the projects, you put what needs to be done. Then you go back in and you need to put in what's the date it needs to be done. So then now you can go through and you can like make it to where you can see basically like, okay, these are due like next week. This is all I need to focus on right now. Forget the other stuff. It doesn't matter at the moment.
Yes.
Then once that's done, you'll go in and it's like, here's the next things that need to be done. That's all you should focus on that week, and you get it done. Another thing that I do to help, so say I have those 4 or 5 things. So I'll write those on a Post-it and I'll put them like by my computer. And then once one's done, I take the Post-it, and it's such a good feeling to crumble it up and be like, I just finished it, and throw it away.
I am with you on that.
Yeah.
You said you're not a big fan of the 12 down. So I'm a write the 12 down, but I love you cross off the task. So it's the same concept of the Post-it. Just something satisfying about just marking it off.
I like that. I'm a whiteboard. I have the 2 whiteboards there.
Yeah, that's another good one, the whiteboard.
Yeah,
that's
I have
also
a
good
vertical
feeling.
one. You'll see.
You know you're an adult when you get really excited about taking a task off your list.
So mine is mixed. I have these Post-its, but they're like they just wipe off. They're
Oh,
there.
those
They're on
are.
the
I
board.
would need to see those.
Yeah, you
That's
just
cool.
like you wipe it off. You attach it to the whiteboard.
It's
you wipe it off.
eco-friendly.
Yeah, it's eco-friendly. But it's good. I
There
feel
you
like
go.
it's because when you're in a position like this, no one's gonna get up and tell you, "Hey, you have to do this, this, and that." That's why you have to write every single thing down, right? So I think this could go align with those barbers that want to accomplish, or hairdressers that want to accomplish more in their careers. If you continue to have the same day to day, not much will change. But if you start writing things down, if you have My Monday, send the check. If you have a My Monday with things you want to do to change your career or to level your career to the next, level, then it could help you,
It's personal and professional accountability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, and for like the hairdressers and the barbers, it can be a personal, like your personal task that you need to do. Like maybe it's you want to redo a room, so then you have that as your task, and then what all needs to happen, so that you're just not just sitting there saying, "I want to redo my room." Like then you'll never do it.
Yeah.
So it's good to have like those tasks and the Post-its. Yeah, like I do those for the family too. Like do the laundry, make the bed, do
Yes.
this. So, and so you can rip. I need the eraser ones now though.
Yeah, I got you.
It's,
I'll send you the Amazon link.
It's crazy. I didn't, I definitely didn't think when we were about to interview with Stephanie today, we would talk about time management as a focus of it, but it's a really important topic. And the reason you asked, we sell our products at Wahl in over 165 countries. We have 28 offices across the globe. And Stephanie's role is to not necessarily work with all 28 offices, but she's working with a lot of them. It's probably like 20 of them, and their education teams. And the ones that don't have an education team, it's about building one and what that structure looks like. So it's important to have that organization, that professionalism, all that structure created. So hats off to you for the work that you do there. Like, you're talking to me like if I write it down on paper, that's impressive. So I like anytime I talk to someone who's got that super organization like gene, like that's awesome, and I envy you for it. I want to switch gears though.
Switch it.
I want to get back into education a little bit.
Yep.
And this question will be more focused on the U.S., but obviously it can apply to some of our global teams. But what do you see for 2023 or end of 2022? What are some of the trends that you are seeing in hair, especially in the men's side, that you see kind of, whether Wahl is going to kind of take the lead in that? Maybe it's adopting it from the hairdresser side, or what are some of those trends that you're seeing going forward that Wahl really wants to become involved in?
Yeah, so I think like one of the big trends that we are definitely noticing is the hair starting to get longer.
Yeah.
So so it's almost going to be a reversal where it was the barbers were the ones who knew like how to do like a massive, can I say kick-ass fade?
Yeah.
Like flawless. Where the hairdresser is more of the traditional cutter. So they were looking to the barbers to learn how to do these really cool fades. Well, I think now what's going to happen is that the barbers are going to be looking to the hairdressers on how to cut longer hair. So I think it's going to be a twofold. I also think that we're going to start to see in our industry a lot more of these dual license things happen,
100%.
where people are cosmetology and barber like certified, because I think that is like a huge thing, because you definitely need to understand both sides and to have a huge impact in what you want to do behind the chair. I think for us, one of the big things that my biggest goal for 2023 is to create our first like global collection. So I'm looking to bring in 7 to 8 of our key artists from different parts of the world and bring them in and just brainstorm on what's cool in your country. I'm talking like Malaysia, China, Australia, the UK. So really getting in there and figuring out like, how can we have this really cool collection that speaks to the world? Because right now what's happening is that all the countries are doing their own collection. And one, it's going against everything we're trying to achieve, which is to look the same around the world. And so if you see a Wahl picture, it's Wahl. Two is some of our countries don't have the funds to do their own photo shoot. So they're relying on us in the global department to create these looks for them. And then I think the third one is that this gives people like more of a visual of like who we are as a company. Like, we are global. It is no joke.
What does Simon Shaw say? We are global, not local.
Yeah, and we don't work like a local country. I mean, even our whole team in the U.S. like works with the global people, because even though they're responsible for the U.S., everything that's created in that Sterling office is going out to the world. So the U.S. office still has to think about the globe and making sure that they have the information and everything they need to be successful in their countries. So I think that's probably, Aaron, the number one thing is creating this new collection, along with some like just really great like videos, content, just a lot of stuff that I think really will like take us to the next level.
I'm gonna just jump backwards here because I love that. That's all I'm about. I'm like, ooh, I can't wait to see what happens. What's coming?
You'll be there.
Yeah, you'll probably be involved.
Did I just get confirmed? I will be.
You'll be our creative consultant.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I'm looking forward to it. I'm so excited to work with you on so many projects. That is something very, very special. Having a global collection and with countries that are all the way on the other side. Now, I have a question. The cultures. Can you just touch a little bit about the differences in the cultures, like, and the barbering and the hair?
Yeah. So that was something I learned a long time in my career.
Okay.
So before I would go to a country, I always read about the country and read about their culture, their, like take Japan, for instance, like you hand your card like this to them. They take it very serious, and they take it and you need to put it away as if it's a gift. Like you don't want to just like put it to the side or like, because it's a very special thing to them. Also, like when you arrive, you bring a gift from your country. Oh. So there's like different things that are very like cultural in some of these countries. Then you take China. So with China, they can't do Facebook.
Right.
That's their culture. It's not allowed. However, they're killing it on TikTok. So for me, I'm like, I don't get the difference, but I guess because you can't talk, like you can't have a comment or like, it's a video, but they are like, their TikTok is like dynamic. So that's a huge cultural thing for us, and something Aaron and I have talked about, because there are things that we wanted to do, and I'm like, but China can't do it.
Right.
So we do, and I always will do. That's my responsibility, is to say, well, that's not fair to China. Like, what are we going to do for them? So, and then in other cultures, I have to say, like, those are probably the two most different. In Malaysia, like, you don't even have to have a license, and they cut on the streets. Like, so being a barber, they're good barbers though, don't get me wrong. But they learn that way. And then, it's nothing for them to be out in the street cutting hair.
Right.
Same with India. Like, it's just, so it's a completely different culture. But most of the places around the world are the same when it comes to like
At the
cutting
end.
and at the end. Think about it. Like, we're a global company because everybody loves Wahl clippers. And because, all the education that we give is what they want to hear. And kudos to Aaron because, on our Facebook page, I mean, what are we at? 1.2 million followers?
Yeah, on our Instagram.
Instagram,
1.3,
sorry, not
yeah.
Facebook. Yeah, 1.3, but 70% are international people.
Yeah.
That's dynamic because that means like whatever he's putting on there and sharing, the entire world loves it. So that's our goal, is to like adapt to all their different like cultures. And that would be like my one thing if you were ever visiting a country, is to always make sure that you read up on it, read up on like what are the key cultural things, and then always try to learn in their language how to say hi and thank you and those sort of things.
Not just the bad words.
Yeah, not just the
It's
bad,
always
not the fun
bad,
words.
It's always
Yeah.
the bad ones they try to teach first.
Hi and thank you is very important.
Yeah, hi and thank you. And I think those are the key things for them.
Thank you.
I love it. No, that's really awesome insight. I'm a little upset that you didn't bring that Japanese culture of bringing us a gift here. So obviously that didn't rub off on you too
I'm the
much.
gift.
Oh, touche.
I got her a water.
Good.
So.
Good point.
I didn't get
you know what? I didn't get you anything.
I didn't get you a water.
Yeah.
I got her some water.
Yeah, absolutely. Here is a question that I see all the time on social media. You might know where I'm going with this. How does someone get to become an educator for Wahl Clipper? And it's not an easy answer. I know that, but we get messages all the time. Hey, I want to be on the education team. I would love to be an ambassador. I want to be a platform artist. I want to get sponsored. Obviously, we can't accept every human being that wants to be
Right.
with us. That'd be awesome if
I
we
was
could,
gonna say,
but
that'd
we
be a
can't
great
do
world
it.
if we could.
We love you all.
Yeah. Shout out to you.
Yeah.
But what are steps that people can take? Short term, long term, what are some steps that they can take if they truly are serious about becoming a member of our Wahl family?
That's a good question. And I want to apologize to anyone that's watching this if I haven't responded to an Instagram or a Facebook message, because I get so many of them that sometimes I would look at it and it doesn't let you like save it like unread. And so I may forget to go back. So it's always best to like send me an email versus like going through my messaging. So apologies on that one. So to become an educator, yeah, it's because I think people have to understand what it means to be an educator. It doesn't mean that you stand on stage and you look glamorous, because there's a lot more behind it. So, like when it comes to education, we need educators who do classes that are only 2 hours long, and they may be in a distributor, like in their back room, or maybe in a salon, or we may need you to work at a show. So there's different types of educators that we have. To become one, it's, I think just wanting to be one is pretty good. The second thing I would always ask is why? Like, what is it that makes you want to be an educator? And where do you see yourself as an educator in the next 3 years? Because if they come back to me with, I see me doing shows, then I'm like, then it's not going to work. It might,
Yeah,
but it might
could.
not. So, that should be like a long-term goal for sure. Right now, we just brought on our new ambassadors, and those ambassadors are the ones that I'm going to be looking at for potential educators in the future. So we have a year with them to see their work, see their creativity, get a feel for them. It also gives them time to get a feel for us and to determine if Wahl is the brand that they want to be with. And then after that, that's where I would probably go with my educators first, because I've already had a year to get to know them, see their work, see how they interact. So my recommendation would be with Wahl to, next time we do our ambassador rollout, is to enter and try to be an ambassador. And then that gives you that opportunity to get into the door and to get known really well. My second one would be to always tag a brand you love. on Instagram so that they have a visual of like what your work looks like. So if you use a wall clipper, you always want to tag like hashtag wall, unless there's a different one that you think they should use. But that way, because I know like you get all of those, and like you repost a ton of these that you see. So this also is a way that I know you've come to me several times saying like, I think this person could be like really good. So that's the second one. If you other companies, it's different. Like some companies are just like, we're hiring educators, you know, and so you contact them, they bring you on, you go through your training, and you're an educator. Depends on like which company. I know Wahl is probably, it's really hard to become an educator here, because one, we're very picky. Two, we are in the process of growing the U.S. team, and so we want to have like the best of the best on the team so that we can deliver, you know, top line education. So that would be my recommendation on that. As far as like once you become an educator, how do you continue that journey? Because now I hear that as well with people who are already educators. Like, how do I get to do a show? How do I get to do a photo shoot? So when I was an educator, I spent so much time and so much money of my own educating myself outside of what the company was giving me, because I wanted to learn from other brands so that I understood how they did things. I wanted a different idea, a different way of doing things. So I think that's also important, is investing in yourself and not thinking that whoever you are like an educator with, or who you want to be an educator with, are responsible for providing you with your education. The second thing that I did, so I wanted to become a really great presenter. I wanted to start being able to be booked for all the major shows. So how was I going to do that? So I went to Chris Barron, and I said, I will pay to follow you if I can follow you at shows and be in the back room and like be your assistant. And so he's like, you got it, kid, like come along. So I would pay for my flight, I'd pay for my hotel, I'd pay for everything. And I was working. So I was missing money in the salon and working, but what I was getting back from it was priceless, because I wasn't, sometimes when you work a show, like you don't get to choose who you're going to assist, but I was Chris's. And so that was one of those things that, you know, when people say, I want to get here, how did you get there? I spent a lot of money. I spent a lot of time, my own effort, you know, like you should never expect the company to hand it to you. Like, what are you doing to better yourself so that the company wants to use you for those sort of things? And it paid off. I ended up being a facilitator at the Redken Exchange. And it also paid off because probably half of the time that I followed Chris around that year, they ended up reimbursing me because they needed help.
Wow.
So
and the relationships that you've
Yeah.
probably built through those trips are just
invaluable.
I think relationships are huge as well.
Yeah,
Love
and and that would be the other one. Find a mentor. Like Chris was mine. Sam Villa was another huge mentor of mine. But find someone that you admire and to go that extra step and say, hey, I'll take care of getting there if you'll let me be your assistant and help out. You know, and no one's going to say no. Like everyone wants to help somebody get to the next level or get where they want to be, for sure.
100%.
That's really interesting. And, you know, every time we've talked with an educator here, they always talk about like always continue learning and continue educating. But I loved hearing it from your perspective, and that like finding that mentor out there. So who do you want to work for? Who do you want to be? Do you want to be the next Byrd Mena? Like reach out to that person. Like, how can I support you? I just want to learn from you, and how can you do it? And that's really cool insight. Yep. You talked about the ambassador program too, and you know that was really awesome. We went through hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different submissions. Yeah. So that was really wild and fun to go through. And for anyone who is interested, make sure that you apply for the Wahl Insider program. So it's on our website. We'll put it in the link in the description. So make sure you sign up for the Insider program, because you'll get notified when the next ambassador application opens up. It won't be until 2023, probably January, beginning of the year, but apply. And, you know, you talked about that's where we're kind of looking for the next group of educators. We've added, I think, 4 or 5 artists from previous ambassador teams. Like John Carmona came from our first ambassador team. Taylor Levin was a part of that team. Have was a part of that team. So there's been a lot of artists that have kind of grown on our education team from that ambassador program. So it's a proof of concept. It's proof that this, like, that's what we promise you, like, someone will probably move on up. And that's how you apply. And I also liked how you told people, like, tag us and stuff. And it's not wrong. That's how we find people, is like the people that are constantly engaging with the brand in general, whether they're leaving comments all the time or liking pictures, asking questions, tagging us in their content they create. That's all helpful for you to get noticed and recognized by the brand.
Yeah, for sure. Those are like definitely things you want to do.
You guys got it. You make sure you do it here on this video as well. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Let us know you want to probably be on the next episode, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And remember, I think education is a responsibility. Just simple like that. It's more of a responsibility because you're influencing the future, the youth, or even the people that are wanting to learn new techniques. So it's more of a responsibility than anything.
Yeah. And also in the comments, if we can put the link for the professional Facebook page.
Yeah.
So speaking of education, so we do have a global Facebook page that's only for professionals. And on that page, we have tons of Facebook Lives that we do. We were doing them every week, and then show season started, so now we're at like every other almost. But we have people from all over the world. We've had people from China, Singapore, Malaysia, the UK, Germany, tons. So speaking of culture and what do they do in their countries, this is like the best way to really get a feel for it.
And it's free.
And it's free.
Without a flight, guys. No flights.
No flights. It's free. And you're learning from some of the most dynamic barbers around the world.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll put that in the comment section. Again, if you sign up for that insider program, you'll get notifications when all those classes are. But that is very helpful information. Free, live, global education from barbers and stylists from across the globe. Like we're giving it away.
Yeah.
Don't miss out. Well, I think we have had an amazing conversation here with Stephanie. Stephanie, thank you for coming from the West Coast to the East Coast to come and film the podcast here with us today, the Off the Top podcast. If you could leave with one message to the youth and to the people who are joining this industry, what would that message be?
I think my message would be to not give up too early, because I think the youth, and it's not the millennials. I hate that everyone has like a tag on their like age group. Because I was the exact same as the millennials when I was a millennial, but millennials didn't exist. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think it's when you first get into this industry, the first 2 years are the toughest. They're really hard. And you have to like really just stick it out, take the time, work. I always say work in a salon. I know like the booth renting is like a huge thing, but you shouldn't do that until like you are well established and on your way. But working in a salon is the best thing you can do because, one, you're going to be working with other stylists that will continue to train you because you don't learn enough in school, like not enough at all. Two, you're going to end up getting clients a lot faster because they're going to get to know you. They're going to feel comfortable with you. And usually a lot of salons will offer classes and trainings as well. And they'll pay for you to come to like premiere and stuff. Sure. So that would be my thing, is like find a really good salon or barbershop that you could assist in for like the first 6 months to 12 months. I assisted for 12. And then after that, you start to grow your clientele. But give it a good 2 years. Don't think you're just going to jump in and be super busy behind the chair and, you know, be the next A-Rod or the next Bird. It's not going to happen. It takes a lot of time.
I love it. That's great insight. And
thank you.
Like Bird said, you know, we love having you a part of our family and having you impact our Wahl culture and Wahl community on a global scale. So thank you for coming on the podcast and talking to us. And we learned some times management skills too. So shout out to our free sponsor, My Monday. But no, this has been great, and it's always great having conversations with you. You always bring some good energy. Hopefully, we were able to keep your energy up before you pass out here. So I'm glad you didn't fall asleep on the couch. That's a good sign.
We still have a barber battle meeting and model call.
Oh,
We're not
yikes.
even done.
Yeah, you're ready to crash. But yeah, thank you so much for
My
being a part of this.
Thank you guys
Thank
for
you.
inviting me. I had a great time.
Thank you
Thanks so
And
much.
to everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Off the Top Podcast. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment,
Share.
turn on notifications,
The
whatever.
bell. Everything.
Follow Stephanie on Instagram. Follow the whole crew here, and tune into the next episode. You're not going to want to miss it.
Yes, sir.
Adios.